Was anything ever passed down about how they felt about the Civil War?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Jesse was very much opposed to it. He was one of 12 persons in Alleghany County that did not vote for secession. Many of them were, most everybody was afraid to do that. They were threatened to be put in jail. But Jesse was one of the ones that marched down there and did not vote for secession.
Jesse was from a long line of hog farmers and livestock farmers, and that's where they got their start. In that area, pig raising, hog raising was simple because there were much of it was mountainous. You couldn't farm it, but you could send the hogs out to eat and get the acorns and feed off the land, and hooey, bring them back in when you wanted to. And so they had a lot of land that was useless other than for pig farming or hog farming. And Jesse's the one that developed that into a bigger empire, so to speak, in actually 1,100 acres of feed and cattle and horses and hogs and whatnot. But really the hogs and the pigs were the mainstay of the business.
That's Jesse. That's Jesse right there. And
so this picture was taken on Rich Patch Road, looking at the house. Right?
Exactly. Yep.
So this would have been pretty much what the soldiers would have seen.
Exactly.
As they went past.
This is exactly what.
What do you think the date of that photo would be?
Well, it had to be before 1870 because he died in, or 71 because he died in 1871.
So it's probably after the war.
Yep.
So
It was the prominent house and gathering place for the whole area.
Yeah.
It was the big home.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
They call it Lincolnville.
That's Lincolnville.
That's Lincolnville.
The evidence is that Jesse cooperated every way he could with the Union forces, and I suspect because his son-in-law was, as you say, knowledgeable in the area, he assigned him the task of going with Averill the rest of the way.
And a lot of information we have comes through documents. A lot of it is through the Southern Claims Commission. It was established in the 1870s for persons that aided the Union Army to be reimbursed for any kind of expenses they incurred in aiding the Union Army.
And of course, Jesse took advantage of this.
Jesse made a claim, as well as his brother William. Averill took 3 horses. They took 2 saddles, 2 lines, some corn, and 300 pounds of pork. Eunice, his wife, gave deposition of actually seeing them take some of these items. The saddles were on the porch. They came up on the porch, took those. Unfortunately, Jesse died after having made the claim. The story is that he was out feeding the bull, and the bull gored him. He ended up, going back to the house with his intestines and everything hanging out. And the boys were so upset about it, they went out and slaughtered the bull. So he wasn't able to see his claim through, but Charles L. became the administrator of the estate and saw the claim until it was completed. And William's claim was for a horse. William, Jesse's brother, was on his way to the grist mill when he came upon Averill's troops. And Averill's troops took the horse from him then.
Put him on foot.
Put him on foot. Yep.
You can walk home.
Yep. His wife, Ruth, in her deposition said when he got back, she said, well, where's the grist and where's the horse? And he said the army took it from him.
The thing that becomes apparent to us after a while is that what a very strong Christian community there was in Rich Patch. And in almost every church that was established, there was a Humphreys involved, either preaching or on the board of trustees or some way, that this was one of the first things they tended to be sure they had a schoolhouse and be sure they had a church. And through this moral upbringing and these ethics that they learned, they were totally opposed to anything such as slavery from the very get-go. Way back in as far as 1844, they were fighting against any idea of slavery.
You had mentioned that there was some kind of an organization that was established to try to undermine what the Confederates were doing at the time. What was the name of that organization?
The organization was called the Heroes of America. They identified themselves by a red string attached to their wrist or their lapels. And they were sworn to disrupt the activities of the Confederacy as much as they could, and it was an underground clandestine group. They had sworn to do everything they could to unseat the Confederacy. Being a secret group, they had secret handshakes and codes and a number of things that people didn't even know who also was a member in their own neighborhood until they shook hands or they saw the red string. And their job was to elicit information about the Confederacy and their troops and their moves, and to pass that information along to the Union troops. There was an instance where several of them had been in contact with General Averill, giving him information as to who might be safe and where they might go, and he felt that he could use that information successfully to go ahead and reconnoiter and take over that area.
Did you think Jesse was a member of this organization?
I suspect that he was, because what he did was in direct line with what the mission statement was, which was to protect deserters, Union soldiers, and to pass information along that would be helpful to the Union troops. I want to amplify the story that Brian told about how we ever got into this. My grandfather left a trunk that my father left to me, and I went through it one day, and there was a letter from someone handwritten to my grandfather, and it was the heading on it said Rich Patch. I said, Rich Patch? What the heck is Rich Patch? And at that point, we were living in North Carolina, began to research the Rich Patch thing, and my wife and I finally went up there and began to dig into it and find out all that we found out since then. Now, the interesting thing is, all my life I thought I was a Confederate because everybody around me was a Confederate, and I was as big a rebel as anybody. But the minute I found out that Jesse was a Unionist and all of my people had been Unionists, I switched loyalties just like that.